Hi, I'm Paul,
I'm Tammy.
and
We're inseparable.
And today we're going to start a series on the Ocean Personality Test. And what does this have to do with relationships? This is mostly an employment-based thing, but we'll get into that because the things are kind of similar. Um, what Ocean stands for is openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. And I think the big one when you're talking about relationships is agreeableness.
Yeah.
And technically, it's either you're high in agreeableness, or you're low in agreeableness. We might interchange the term disagreeableness for low in agreeableness. Okay? And so if you're with a partner and you are high on disagreeableness or disagreeable, you know, we took the test. I was average for a man, you were average for a woman. And that's, men generally are more disagreeable than women are, okay? So that's pretty much the norm. My daughter took the test and she came in about the same score as I did. And that's kind of important. And, when she talked about it, she disagreed about that. So I said, okay, you're kind of making the point. But having some disagreeableness is not a bad thing. But say if you're a couple and you're both high in disagreeableness, well,
Well, you're not going to get along.
we gonna fight all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna bicker and stuff like that. And we actually witnessed one couple that was training us that did that. Yet they had been together quite a while,
Yeah.
so they somehow managed to pull it off. So but say if you're an agreeable person and you think, I'm a great guy, I'm easy to get along with, I'm gonna find myself an agreeable partner, wife. What might be the problem there?
Well, there's nobody to stand up to people when you need to stand up to somebody.
Right.
Speak
I
out.
mean,
Speak up. Yeah.
that's a big problem. When the wolves are at the door, the buzzards, the vultures are circling overhead. You need somebody to be able to stand up to them. And I don't mean that literally, that's figuratively.
Yeah.
The example might be, well, when you get the bill from the doctor and it's $5,000, but insurance was supposed to cover this. You were supposed to pay $100 and they were supposed to cover the rest. And now you've got to call a doctor, get the story there, then you've got to call the insurance company and fight with them over this, that it should have been covered. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Or it may actually be somebody coming to the door,
Yeah.
knocking on the door, and you don't like that, and you run in the house if you can or whatever. But I like it. I kind of like dealing with them. I kind of like sending them away with the tail between their legs, not giving them the opportunity to speak.
Yeah.
So say if you're disagreeable, and another one that's kind of ties into this is kind of important, is conscientiousness. Well, if you're disagreeable and you're low in conscientiousness, we'll come visit you at the state prison, because
Yeah.
that's pretty much where you're going to be. But on the other hand, if you're low in agreeableness, like my daughter, and high in conscientiousness, like my daughter, well, you're CEO material. Somebody that can fight for the company and fight with people to keep things going, but has a high degree of conscientiousness. We see this on TV, and it's kind of funny. And once you learn to look for this, you kind of look at couples and identify them. And think of any couples, TV
Yeah.
couples.
I see this a lot and I think it makes for funny TV when they don't get along. But yeah, like we watch Everybody Loves Raymond and Marie and Frank, the parents. They're just always bickering.
Yeah, they're.
But they've been married for a long time and stay together. But I don't know that would be realistic if people bicker like that all the time and don't get along, unless maybe they don't spend much time together. Maybe like when they're working and don't see each other, and then once he retired, he's at the lodge all the time, and so just don't see each other or something. But makes for funny TV.
And the other couple that's in Everybody Loves Raymond would be Ray and Deborah, right? And Deborah's high in disagreeableness, uh, which means she can stand up and fight for herself, and she's not
Yeah.
afraid to tell you if she differs in opinion or something. And Ray's kind of,
A pushover.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to speak up. Yeah.
So do you think maybe that's the reason that if women are high in agreeableness, they kind of look for a disagreeable character, and sometimes they may go overboard with this, or they may find somebody who's both disagreeable and low conscientiousness, and they don't discern this, and they end up with some pretty toxic.
Yeah, because if you're low in conscientiousness, then you just don't care. You need a person who, even if they're disagreeable, like you're disagreeable at times when you need to be, but you don't want somebody who's disagreeable all the time, because that's no fun to be around. You don't want to be,
Right.
somebody that argues just for the sake of arguing. But yeah, as far as the conscientiousness, that needs to be higher, because
Yeah. Well, especially if, say, you're in a relationship and you want to be treated well, and you want somebody that can stand up to the vultures and the wolves, but not turn that on you.
Right.
Right. So that's the perfect guy, is kind of the guy that he can be when he needs to be, and if you're a guy and you can't, well, then you need to find a woman that can. And one of the things when this does happen, and I've seen this a lot, my parents, my friends' parents, the woman was the more disagreeable one, and the guy was a really nice guy, and it's like, well, why do you stay with her? But I think that there's on a subconscious level, there's no need for that, but because men are generally more disagreeable and women are less disagreeable or more agreeable, then she comes off as a bitch. It's like, that's what everybody thinks. Well, she's just. But
the woman should just be submissive and quiet and just go along with everything and not outspoken and not the strong personality, But some women are like that.
Well, and it won't work with like we said, with the guy that's the same. But if the guy isn't, well, then it can work. She's the one on the phone with the doctor's office and the insurance company, getting the thing straightened out with the husband. With, oh, I guess I'll pay it. My father was a very agreeable guy, and this happened to him, and I'm disagreeable. My first wife was disagreeable. That didn't last. My second wife was disagreeable, but not in my face, which kind of worked out good because, she could fend for herself out in the world. My father had this thing happen where he had bought a 80 Thunderbird brand new, and when it had 14,000 miles on it, which the warranty was only 1 year and 12,000 miles, he brought it to the Ford dealer, and they said, well, you're going to have to replace your whole steering rack, and it's going to cost you half of what you paid for the car. And, well, the warranty's up, and he's at home and he's holding his head and what am I going to do, And I said, well, Dad, now I'm in the car business. I don't work for Ford. I work for a Cadillac dealer. I said, but this is what you're going to do. And you're going to do it calmly. We're going to find out who the Ford rep is for this area. We're going to get his phone number. You're going to call him. You'll say, hey, look, I'm Joe LeBlanc. I've been a loyal Ford customer all my life. I bought this Thunderbird a year ago. I know it's out of warranty, but the steering is gone. It needs to be replaced. And I think steering is something that should last the life of the car. Just say that. And the guy said? He said, Joe, I agree with you 100%. We're going to fix it for free. But my father needed coaching as to what to do.
Right.
If he just listened to what they told him he needed to do.
He would have probably paid it. Yeah.
He probably would have paid the $2,000 to have the steering replaced, and it would have been an ordeal. But this guy was able to actually have him take one off the line, off the assembly line, and get it done in a week.
Mhm.
So, but that's the good part of being, you don't want to be too disagreeable. I think my score was around 35%. And for a man or a woman, that's not bad. And yours was around 50,
Mhm.
and you had high conscience. We both had high conscientious scores.
Yeah.
So, and it makes for a good pairing. The only thing is, I got to be watchful that nobody's taking advantage of her,
Mhm.
and we've learned that over time to do that, for me to keep a close eye on that, because working with her, I noticed that she would knuckle down under pressure,
Yeah.
and sometimes I would, but sometimes I'd openly offer to help people, but I always had a way to do it where, corporate couldn't get upset about it. If they needed trash thrown away and I liked them and I was in a good mood, I'll get rid of your trash. If I didn't, or I wasn't in a good mood, no, that's your problem.
Yeah.
And something like that. We weren't supposed to do that at all, but I got away with doing a lot of things that other people wouldn't do because they ain't gonna fire the best couple in the have. So
Yeah.
so that was it. So and did I mention about the immune system?
No.
And this is maybe why, kind of like the opposites attract thing. This is another interesting thing. Um, when you meet somebody that could potentially be a partner,
Mhm.
and this is whether you're married or not, this is just a biological thing. So the emotional part of your brain doesn't recognize that you're married or not. It just goes to work. And this confuses a lot of people because sometimes they meet somebody and the emotional brain starts firing off and saying, ooh, and the logical brain saying, wait, I'm married,
Mhm.
and that creates a conflict there. But what you're sniffing for, and this is sometimes people were cologne or perfume, and this actually is not a good thing. It confuses the senses. It's sniffing for your immunities. And what it's looking for is a partner that has different immunities than you. It's not looking for one that has the same immunities. And if
Mhm.
you come into contact with somebody and you just are repulsed by them and you don't even really know why, it's probably because you have matching immune systems.
Mhm.
But if you have opposite immunities or differing immunities, well, that becomes an attraction because your children will have more immunities. It's the same reason that you maybe find attracted to good-looking people and not attracted to people who aren't. Why? Well, because chances are you're going to have children. And if you have children and you're good looking, then you're going to have good looking children. And those good looking children are going to have an easier time attracting partners, good looking partners, than if they weren't good looking. And so it becomes a selective process of you know, natural selection. That this is what happens. And I think you notice this when you're 13, 14, and that's all you're looking at when you're looking at people
Yeah.
is are they good looking or
You have the
not?
crush on the good looking
Yeah, yeah,
one. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, that's enough for that. We'll get into the others and maybe we can do a couple of them at a time. This is the big one when
Mhm.
it comes to couples. And, I'll put the test in the notes so for the link for it. So if you want to go ahead and take the test, it's free. Takes about 20 minutes.
Mhm.
Okay, take care. Thanks for watching.
God bless. We love you. Bye.
Bye. See, she always knows what to fill in.